Greetings. My name is Jeff Liebmann. I'm the consulting minister here at the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Smithton, Pennsylvania. And this is another in our series of online video sermons. This one is titled, Becoming the Wind. Our opening words come from the lyrics of a song by Laurie Lewis titled, I'm Gonna Be the Wind. All my life, I've been a blade of grass in the wind, or like a stubborn tree, I've let the wind shape me. But now I'm feeling bold, enough to let go my hold, and I'll not be a blade of grass again. I'm gonna be the wind. I'll be the wind. I can wear the mountain down, and I'll be the wind of hope. I can lift you off the ground. And I'll fan the flames of love. You know they'll never die again. Oh, I'm gonna be the wind. Our reflection reading comes from a book by Karen Armstrong called Islam, A Short History. Perhaps the central paradox of the religious life is that it seeks transcendence, a dimension of existence that goes beyond our mundane lives, but that human beings can only experience this transcendent reality in earthly physical phenomena. People have sensed the divine in rocks, mountains, temple buildings, law codes, written texts, or in other men and women. We never experience transcendence directly. Our ecstasy is always earthed, enshrined in something or someone here below. Religious people are trained to use their creative imagination. In Islam, Muslims have looked for God in history. Their sacred scripture, the Qur'an, gives them a historical mission. Their chief duty was to create a just community in which all members, even the most weak and vulnerable, were treated with absolute respect. The experience of building such a society and living in it would give them intimations of the divine, because they would be living in accordance with God's will. Muslims developed their own rituals, mysticism, philosophy, doctrines, sacred texts, laws and shrines just like everybody else. But all these religious pursuits sprang directly from the Muslims' frequently anguished contemplation of the political affairs of Islamic society. If state institutions did not measure up to the Quranic ideal, if their political leaders were cruel or exploitative, or if their community was humiliated by apparently irreligious enemies, a Muslim could feel that his or her faith in life's ultimate purpose and value was in jeopardy. Consequently, the historical trials and tribulations of the Muslim community, political assassinations, civil wars, invasions, and the rise and fall of ruling dynasties, were not divorced from the interior religious quest, but were the essence of the Islamic vision. Popular lyricists love their metaphors. Sometimes a musical phrase takes on so much meaning that our language and cultural understanding adopts the new interpretation. Pink Floyd made Another Brick in the Wall synonymous with mindless bureaucracy and compliance. The bridge over troubled water is the loving support we offer each other when we are weary and there are tears in our eyes. And whenever I use the word imagine, I cannot help but think about John Lennon's utopian vision and Strawberry Fields Forever. Another often used metaphor involves singing about the wind. To Carrie Livgren of the group Kansas, the wind offers the vehicle for our searching, as we are all just dust in the wind. We are just drops of water in an endless sea, and all that we do crumbles to the ground though we refuse to see. Our physical bodies are insignificant next to the power of the wind. Wind is the endless, timeless, and steady progress of change in nature, and only our spirits can possibly connect with such a force. To Bob Dylan, "Blowin' in the Wind" represents a more specific harbinger of change, of a coming time when injustice and war will no longer be tolerated. Wind sweeps away the wrongs of society and encourages us to act upon more important considerations of our life's purposes. To Jimi Hendrix, "The Wind Cries Mary," as a constant reminder of actions we wish we could take back, of words better left unspoken, of love now lost. Wind reminds us to appreciate what we have and those we love, and to never allow thoughtless deeds to jeopardize what really matters. To Elton John, the wind represents a more permanent loss, the snuffing of a candle in the wind, of a prematurely shortened life full of energy and promise. Wind is not just a methodical erosion of mountains, but can also be seen as that tornado touching down with such mighty destruction for just seconds. In our popular music, wind is an elemental force of change, moving us to action, guiding us toward meaning and understanding. Wind offers closure, even the death of ideas, ways of living, or people important to us. 9 years ago, in September of 2001, the United States suffered a tragic act of violence and hate. To some, the horror of that day's events still burns vividly in their minds, images of smoke and flame, of destruction and death. The personal loss of loved ones and the broader shattering of confidence in our security and safety affected all of us to some degree. The process of grief challenges each of us during our lives. But grieving is made all the more difficult when the loss occurs through the intentional or irresponsible acts of others. Every year, on the anniversary of this occasion, we seem to hear sentiments from those still coping with the aftermath of that horrific day. While some focus on remembering the victims and the heroic efforts of rescuers, others stress their desire to punish any and everyone on which blame for the attacks can be assigned. Sadly, there are those who wish to paint that brush of blame on any Muslim, as if all adherents of Islam supported radical acts of fundamentalist terrorism. Recently, people have expressed much public consternation over the proposed opening of a mosque near the former site of the World Trade Center in New York City. One particularly troubling response came from the Dove World Outreach Center in Gainesville, Florida, which decided to make the day before this anniversary its first annual Burn a Qur'an-a-thon, finding and destroying as many copies of the Qur'an as a statement. Thankfully, the event was finally canceled, but not before raising concerned eyes all across the globe.